Hope you're having a good Sunday and that everything's going well for you and you're enjoying life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And most of all, you're healthy and doing good things. And if you're not in any of those states of being, well, I hope that it happens for you sooner rather than later. So today, at least in this video, I am going to talk to you about something that I don't typically talk about. And what is that thing? Well, that thing is age discrimination in tech marketing. There is, of course, age discrimination in pretty much every single field of work. As I am a marketer and have been for more than several decades already, despite my youthful appearance. I started marketing when I was a whopping 8 years old in tech marketing. Way back in the day. Been at it for more than 40 years now. Let's just say more than 40, and I'll leave it at that. There is very real tech marketing discrimination when it comes to age. Okay, what do I mean by that? Well, I mean simply, if you are over the age of 50 and you work in tech, you are being discriminated against. There is a very high probability that that's happening to you, especially if you are currently underemployed or unemployed and looking for work. How do I know this? Well, once upon a time, I had many different clients in the HR space, and it was our job to find leads for HR firms to place in jobs, great jobs, high-tech jobs, good old internet jobs in the .com era and the Web 2.0 era. And we still have some HR firms today who are clients because our marketing and sales services and our HR outsourced subcontractor services are quite good. We find great leads, we find great contacts, and we're able to place them. To be specific, the people who get jobs through our services are delighted, and the HR firms that work with us are also very happy because they get jobs for their clients. They earn a nice commission, and our firm earns a commission that's able to pay for our workers to do their work. But what happens when we see a candidate who is aged 50 or older? Immediately, the systems that we use, if you use ATS or any of those other ones, will tell us, basically, in different words, that this candidate is quote-unquote overqualified or too old, and basically not to even move them on to the first round of consideration. Right, you heard that right. And I'm talking about jobs at any level in marketing. Doesn't matter if you're a junior level marketer, mid-level marketer, senior level marketer, or somebody really at the top of the game. Once you hit 50, you're considered a dinosaur in marketing, especially in tech marketing. And that is frankly absurd. And it's something that my firm is working on to solve, to place people specifically aged 50 or older, because the amount of experience that people who are 50 or older is tremendous compared to people who are half their age or 2/3 of their age. Right? That extra number of years goes a long way in terms of the person's skills and abilities. Now you might say, well, people who are age 50 and are underemployed or unemployed, maybe there's a reason for it. Maybe they shouldn't be hired. Maybe. But maybe their context matters, as it always does. They could have been out temporarily due to ill health. They could have been out due to other reasons. Right? They might have taken a little bit of time off, like a year or two, in between, like after being somewhere for a while and maybe going through an exit and just enjoying life for once, for a little bit. And then suddenly when they go back into the workforce or they start looking again for a job, or even if they just got fired from a company because the company ran out of venture capital, right? They ran out of money and they don't have money to pay the marketing staff anymore. And they always get rid of the senior most people first, pretty much, because they're the most expensive ones. There's a reason they're the most expensive ones, and that's because usually they carry the most experience and the most skills that are relevant to their job. And they're better able to manage people, and they're better able to manage the work. And they generally know how to get things done more effectively and more cost efficiently so that their salary is usually very well worth it. But when companies make cuts across the board or just to save money, they'll do whatever they can to save as much as they can, regardless of the talent they're getting rid of, which is usually a stupid decision. And usually that is why more than 90% of ventures fail, because they run out of money. And instead of, going hard with the best staff that they have, they go half-assed with the weakest staff that they have. And they're sure that it's going to work, but they ignore the statistics that show firms that do that far more than 9 times out of 10, almost 100% of the time, will be closed within a year. Or they'll be running, the founders will keep it going in name only, but nothing will come of it, and eventually it will just fizzle and die. So what can you do? If you're 50 or older and you're in tech marketing and you sent out hundreds or thousands of resumes over many months, and the usual 6-month period for getting hired for a new senior level job, or even a middle or senior level management job, below CMO or below CSO if you're a chief sales officer, or CRO if you're chief revenue officer. What happens if you can't get that new chief marketing officer job, or CSO or CRO job? Well, first of all, obviously, the old saying, the vast majority of jobs that people get are usually through word of mouth, through referrals, through personal contacts, through family contacts, professional contacts, through friend contacts. That really is how a lot of people, even the majority of people in marketing, get their jobs. So that's why it's important to always maintain a network of contacts. You can be as antisocial as you want, but ultimately, if you do that, you're going to harm yourself and not be able to get a job in marketing. It's going to be very difficult, right? It's going to be very difficult because if you don't know anybody to ask, then you're left to the deep oceans of pools of applicants to compete with for the jobs that you see posted on LinkedIn or Monster or wherever. And you'll notice that for the good jobs, there's always hundreds, if not thousands, of applicants. So good luck trying to be selected for that, especially if you're age 50 or older. What else can you do? Obviously, keep your resume updated. And then you can look at different options. Now, there are marketplaces like Fiverr or Upwork or SEO Clerks or Mechanical Turk or user testing, where you can, in theory, sell your services and make side gig, side hustle kind of money, which may not be enough to cover your monthly living expenses, but it may be better than zero. The problem is there's no guarantee on those sites that you'll get any work. Right? In theory, there are some sites in theory, user testing lets you earn up to like $30 an hour or so if you do a number of tests every day and you do a good job and all that. But there have been a lot of complaints in recent months, specifically on user testing, I think because they were acquired by someone else. If you look at the reviews of their app or of their website, you'll see that there's a lot of complaints saying that they've been cutting down on the payouts by using tricks like basically finding loopholes in all the work that people do. So people do full comprehensive user tests, they give full feedback, and then they don't get the payout, even though they did all the work as described. But then the people who moderate the work decide, no, you didn't do this, so we're not going to give you the money for it. But the client's still going to get the work. So you basically work for free. Now, if that's true or not, how much of it is true or not, I don't know. I don't actually work on user testing. I have actually in the past applied to be a contributor, figuring that we could do something with that for my agency. But so far, it's been a while, never got any replies from them. So I have no idea if they ever even accepted the application to be a user tester. But there are other sites where you can find part-time or gig work that in theory, if you were to apply to all of them in a day, you wouldn't really have time to eat, let alone go to the bathroom or do anything else you need to do. But you can spend all day applying to these jobs. And if you have relevant skills for the jobs you're applying for, then you should be able to find something at least once in a while. I forget the name of the job boards, but what you can easily do is just go into like ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever you use and just search for, side gig or gig economy jobs, right? And look for remote-based jobs also if you want to work from home, or, and also because those are often the fastest to get. And you can search, you can search also for part-time jobs, full-time jobs, in-office jobs, hybrid jobs where you work some days in the office and some days at home. But in general, I find that we're looking for remote work, especially when you're underemployed and looking for meaningful work, is the best because it gives you the most flexibility in terms of your time. And obviously that lets you apply for other jobs if you're looking for an in-office job or even another just a full-time remote job. Now, of course, the downside of that is very often remote jobs will pay you a little bit less because you don't have to travel, and they come up with all kinds of reasons that they don't need to pay you a full salary. They also might not give you full medical and dental coverage. They also might not give you other benefits like 401k and stuff like that. So that's on you to manage if you get a remote job usually, right? Because typically remote jobs will be basically like freelancer jobs. Now, there are exceptions to that where companies will hire you as a regular employee remotely. But again, they might lower the salary a bit as a result. But I find that it's typically worth it if you're looking for either a side hustle or a part-time job or a full-time job. It's typically worth it just to know you have another revenue stream coming in, right? Because as you probably know, the single most important thing to do when you are in your working years and trying to build some wealth is to have multiple revenue sources. And this is especially important if you're underemployed or unemployed and looking for your next meaningful work. It is incredibly important at that point to find multiple revenue sources. And I don't mean, pay to invest in something, because usually if you're underemployed or unemployed, you're not looking to spend money. You're looking to make more money. You're not looking to invest in things. And I don't mean any so-called job where you have to pay to join their force, like an Amway type of thing or a Tupperware type of thing or any other kind of pyramid scheme where you have to pay to work, which basically where they'll call you like an independent distributor. What is an independent distributor? Well, an independent distributor is somebody who usually buys some amount of goods or services from a company and then resells them. There's a lot of companies that offer this, by the way, right? They're not really jobs. They're be your own agency and pay for access to their goods or services and then resell them under their name or maybe under your name, depends on their agreement with you. And then you have to basically, bust your behind to try to sell those products, which usually are pretty crappy, usually have a low return on investment. Very often people will get stuck with products for months or years, and you literally won't be able to give the stuff away. Like, literally. You could tell people that you know the best, hey, I've got this free stuff, would you take some of it and just tell me what you think of it and maybe make a video testimonial? And people will literally tell you, thanks, but I don't have the time for that. Because they're crappy products. And that happens a lot. Now, does that mean that every product like that is crappy? No, there are certainly some products that are worthwhile to resell, right? But most of them are garbage. It's just a fact, right? It's nothing. It's not to trash on them. It's not to shade them or whatever you say in the parlance of our times. The vast, overwhelming majority of products that are sold through independent distributors are usually garbage, okay? Don't believe me, don't trust me, verify it, right? Go look for yourself. See how many of these fantastic products actually get sold by independent distributors, and you'll see. Search for any of the company names without even searching for the word scam or legit next to it or worth it, and you'll see those results come up first because those are the ones people search for the most in most of those cases, right? Just look up the company name or the product names, and you'll see pages all over the web, Trustpilot, review sites, Reddit, whatever, you name it, specific websites that people build around them, social media pages that people post about them, Facebook, whatever. Any of those pages, you will see complaint after complaint. This company's products are garbage, or this company doesn't pay out on time like they say they will, or this company, tries to make you do unethical things, or just it's a scam, whatever. That happens, no joke, the vast overwhelming majority of the time. That's why I can't recommend any of them. Because seriously, they are not worth the screens that they are printed on. Right? They are absolutely grotesquely bad. And they're usually scams. I know there's some that aren't. So like I said, I'm not throwing shade on any specific company. And again, I'm not saying the entire industry is like that. I know there are some legitimate ones. I've worked with some legitimate ones. I'm not going to mention them because most of them don't exist anymore. Because they were many, many, many years ago. And their owners retired and they shut down their businesses or whatever. But there are some legitimate ones, but I can't recommend any because generally speaking, they're not good. Hello, what am I talking about? I am talking about age discrimination in tech marketing and what to do about it. Sorry, I didn't see your messages before. How you doing? I'm doing all right. Well, I'm alive and I'm still relatively healthy. So, okay. How are you? Okay, so, what's your name? Baladi? Well, hello, Baladi. I hope I pronounced that okay. Baladi? Baladi? I don't know. You there, hello. So what else can you do apart from that? Well, like I said, maintain a good network, right? Don't let yourself fall victim to being so antisocial that you have no contacts to ask for. Actively engage on social networks, but more importantly, with people you know in real life, because those are the ones who will actually get you usually the most help, right? If you just know somebody virtually, it is just so easy to say no to anything you might ask them, right? And this goes for sales too. You might work for a company doing sales, and if you don't know the people personally, if you haven't met them at a conference, or you haven't spoken to them many times on the phone or in Zoom calls where you see them face to face at least, it's so immediately easy to reject your request. No, sorry, I can't help you. I don't have time. I don't have funds. I don't have budget. We're not looking right now. Thanks, but no thanks. Or they lead you on. Yeah, we're interested. Let's talk about it. They'll have, anywhere from 1 to 20 conversations with you, and they'll basically be wasting your time. And they'll never move on to the qualified lead, let alone the actual interested prospect phase. So what does that leave you with? Well, that leaves you with the option to basically build your own business, which is not easy, and it's full of risks. And if you don't have the funds and the runway to do it, it may just be an impossible dream, at least until you have more funds and runway. But you can at least start, whether it's learning a skill that you need, or learning about the business model that you're trying to build, or developing the business model if you have the skills, developing the business model, writing the business plan, writing the executive summary, planning out your expenses for the first year, second year, third year, and fourth and fifth if you're bored, because why not? Doing all the things that you might need, basically creating a virtual business, and then going ahead and selling it, right? Selling the idea to somebody. You might sell the business outright, or you might just get some investors. Now, is that easy to do? No. Why? Because first of all, you have to build a design for, right? You have to create the design for, or the business model for a product that has a great product market fit, and that the MVP will be amazing. And if you're competing with something that already exists, it cannot be just as good as the best thing that exists already. It has to be far and away better than the best thing that exists. Far and away. If it's not far and away better, like leagues ahead, or at least, almost 100% better, if it doesn't double the efficiency or the effectivity or the experience, nobody's going to want to use it, because they'll be like, well, I already have this other thing, right? Think about social media platforms, right? Who wants to build another one right now? Nobody, right? I built one way back in the day, right? When DeviantArt built theirs, I was already building mine. And it went great. Right? But it wasn't leagues better than theirs. And theirs took off because they had a bigger marketing budget and whatever else. Think about today's social media platforms, right? Even a company like Meta, right, that owns Facebook, they launched Threads, basically as a competitor to Twitter, or X. How did that go for them? And remember, they forced people to have accounts on their platform, right? I think they forced like 400 million people or something, 100 million, 400, it doesn't matter. They forced many tens of millions of people to basically have a Threads account. When they logged into Instagram, there's like a little pop-up window that said, you want to try Threads? And if you didn't read it carefully, it said, if you click here, you're making a Threads account and you can't unmake it. And you can't untie your Threads account from your Instagram account. Because Meta also owns Instagram, obviously, and WhatsApp. So they got an immediate massive rush of people signing up for Threads. And they have, I don't know, more than 100 million people on it. I don't know if it's how many, 100 million, 400, whatever, it doesn't matter. Tons of people have a Threads account that they basically were signed up to automatically, even though they didn't want it. So what does that mean? Well, it means that nobody uses it. Right? If you look at the activity on Threads in the first weekend, it was super high because everyone was signing up and they counted that as engagement. even though it was basically forced signups. By the second weekend, it was already dropping. By the third weekend, it was dropping more. By the fourth weekend, it was dropping more. After a month or two, it was basically not very active. Now, it's active to a degree. There are people who use it all the time, just like there are people who use Blue Sky all the time. All right, I have a Blue Sky account. It's great, but it's tiny. We're talking like 25 million people use Blue Sky. Not even use, have a Blue Sky account. Do they all use it every day? No, absolutely not. Does every X user use their X account every day? No, absolutely not. Right? Is Blue Sky a serious threat to X? Not right now, it's not. If there's 25 million people on Blue Sky, and let's just say there's 500 million people on X, even though it's probably less, really. But let's just say it's 500 million people on X. That's still like, 25 million versus 500 million, right? That's a lot. Like 400 times as many people, or whatever. 40 times, like 40 times as many people on X as there are on Blue Sky. So they have a massive advantage over Blue Sky, right? And the likelihood of somebody wanting to switch to Blue Sky as a result is very small, because it's effectively a very similar type of platform. The only difference is the content. And a lot of the content on Blue Sky, what was that? A lot of the content on Blue Sky is people complaining about X, which they were doing on X before they left. And they went over to Blue Sky and they continue to complain. But if you left X, like you actually deleted your account, many of them don't, by the way, they maintain accounts on both. I have accounts on both. But I don't just sit there and complain about X all day. It's ridiculous, right? Why would you do that? You're just feeding more into your own trauma if you hate it so much on X. That's another thing. Why do you hate it so much on X? Probably because you go down rabbit holes, you react negatively to everything that everybody says that you don't like, and the algorithms figure out, hey, this is the stuff you engage with. Instead of engaging with content you actually like, even if you're fed garbage that you hate, just ignore it. Anyway, I don't want to get too deep into that. But the point is, you see that you can't just create a social media platform if you want to start your own business. First of all, it's very complicated. It's very expensive. It takes a lot of time. I mean, Jack Dorsey tried because he built Blue Sky and then he quit. He left it in the hands of other people. He saw it wasn't going to work. Is it working? I mean, arguably, but again, 25 million users, when you're up against behemoths like X, or even Threads, or Instagram, does not a social media business make. It's very difficult. It's the same thing if you want to make a video site, or if you want to make a new web CRM like WordPress, or any other kind of blogging software, right? You're going to be dealing with competitors that are massively well-funded compared to you. They have a far bigger time horizon than you do. They're much further along the way than you are. And unless you can actually invent something that is incredibly so much better that the first moment somebody sees it, they say, yes, I want this. And you pretty much have to give it away for free, right? Because otherwise nobody's going to sign up for it. Then good luck. Digital services, people expect to be able to sign up for free. Even if there's a price to pay at some point, they want to be able to sign up for free, which makes it hard. If you're in the business of selling software, it's also very hard. It's not easy at all, right? It's not evident that you will succeed. Because again, you have to have the connections, you have to build the relationships. It takes time. It takes anywhere from easily 3 to 6 months to sell software to people, like software development. So, like I said, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to have a good time horizon. You have to have funds in your bank or whatever, your crypto wallet or whatever you have, your PayPal account. You have to have money to be able to burn. And you have to be able to sustain seasons full of objection, refusals, denials, basically being told thanks but no thanks. And that's going to make your work a lot harder for you. Does it make it impossible? No, it does not make it impossible. It just means that you have bigger challenges. But again, right where I started, this comes back to age discrimination. That's why I made this video, right? It's all about the age discrimination. That's why it's incredibly important if you're in your late 40s, before you hit 50, to make sure you secure your job or your work or your clients or your business as best as you can before you hit 50. And make sure that you have an active and supportive network of contacts so that if, God forbid, you end up losing your job once you hit 50 or older, that you can quickly pivot to a new job. Because even though they say it takes 6 months to get hired once you're a senior level person in marketing, the fact is, if you're in an active job, it's easier to get a job in an active job than the moment you leave the door, the business behind, right? If you show people, yeah, hey, I'm currently the CMO at this company, or I'm currently the senior VP of marketing at this company, it's a lot easier to get hired than if you're not. It's also, by the way, a lot harder to get hired if you've been running an agency for a number of years and you've had clients come and go, because many of them do, and you've only worked for them like half a year, a year and a half, 2 years. Anything under 2 years is considered not worthy of putting on your resume, which I find insane. Because again, there are many companies, more than 90% of ventures fail. And you could have worked for a bunch of them, and there was no way for you to predict that they would fail. It was not your fault that they went out of business, right? Even if you were the marketing person responsible for marketing the business, that doesn't mean that the failure of the company is on you. If they mismanaged their funds, if they mismanaged their staff, if they did whatever stupid decisions they did, it ended up leaving them broke and you underemployed or unemployed. So maintain your social networks, maintain your networks of contacts. Make sure that you don't leave yourself hanging out to dry. And if you're in a tough spot, push like hell. Right? Go to every meeting you can, make every phone call, do whatever you can. Don't starve. Hold on. I'll be right back with you guys. Okay. This. Let's get this thing. Is this? Okay. All right. I'm a little bit early to this appointment, so we'll go somewhere and then go back in there in another number of minutes. Anyway, so yeah, that's basically ye old handy tips on how to beat the employment game so that you don't get stuck without a job for very long or at all, just because you happen to be 50 years or older, which again is insane to think about, because 50 is not old. But in today's market, unfortunately, in the tech world, it is considered old. Which is, again, ridiculous. But the reason that they do that, like I said, is cost savings, right? They want to save money unemployment. They want to save money on staff costs. They want to save money on benefits. They want to save money on, matching your 401k, whatever it might be. Like, the older you are, the more costly you are to the business. And unless you can justify that cost, you will actually be the first out. There is no FILO, right? There is no first in, last out in tech marketing. It's most expensive cost is the first out, right? That's how it goes. Even though you might have way more justification for being there than anybody else, businesses looking to cost save are not looking to keep expensive staff on the payroll unless you can justify it. And even though we're going through a tech boom, and it's a many-year tech boom, and we're seeing all kinds of people being employed and all that, and there's a very low unemployment rate, the fact is that rate, right, that unemployment rate does not take into account the levels of employment, right, how much people are actually getting paid, right? It doesn't take into account just so many elements of the employment world. So people have to very often have 2 or more jobs just to make ends meet. And for example, in the US, a typical household has to have 2 incomes pretty much if you're earning average salaries or even slightly better than average salaries, right, just to make ends meet. So both parents, if it's a married couple, both parents and they have kids, both parents have to have jobs full-time in order to make ends meet, which is crazy. And that, if anything, should be screaming to you, right, that the fiat system is slowly but surely going the way of the dodo. When I say the fiat system, I mean the dollar, the euro, the yen, the pound, the shekel, the yuan, right, whatever, the yen. It's going away. People are losing their money, or the power of the purchasing value of their money. So $1 today is worth less tomorrow. If you have $1 in your hand today and you have $1 in your hand tomorrow, today's dollar is worth more than tomorrow's dollar. Now, does that vary? Yes, of course it varies. Sometimes the dollar value goes up, sometimes the dollar value goes down. Look at the Dixie chart, you can see that all day long. But over the last 100 years, right, the USD has lost 99.9% of its value. Over the last 16 years, since Bitcoin came out, it has lost 99.9% of its value against Bitcoin. It's not a mistake what I just said. It's factually, you can measure it on the charts very easily, right? What you could buy 16 years ago with $1 versus $1 worth of Bitcoin, you can't even compare it, right? 16 years ago, if you got any BTC, it would have been allocated to you most probably through a block reward. So you would have had 50 of them for the price of the electricity to mine them, right? Which, if you got lucky and you mined it for less than $1 worth of electricity, you'd have 50 Bitcoins, which at today's price is, almost $5 million, right? Or roughly 5 million, because roughly $100,000 for Bitcoin. Yes, it's a bit lower at the moment, like 96, 97, whatever the number is at this very moment. I'm not in front of a chart. I can't tell you. Maybe it popped up a few grand in the last hour. But the point is, you're going to lose the power of purchasing with your US dollars, which is why a lot of people are jumping in to things like Bitcoin, right? They want to have crypto, they want to have other assets that give them some kind of leg up in the future of finance. I'm not recommending that you go buy Bitcoin, go put all your money in Bitcoin or Litecoin or whatever right now. I'm just saying, do your research, learn about it. You'll see why there are hundreds of millions of people who have bought some over the last 16 years, and why it is actually a growing field, right? And why many of the smartest people in tech are in that field. It's not just a Ponzi scheme. Yes, there are many, but the big ones are not. Like, Bitcoin is not a Ponzi. Litecoin is not a Ponzi. Arguably, Ethereum is not a Ponzi. Solana is a venture capital backed company, but it's not. It doesn't appear to be a Ponzi, right? But again, you got to do your research about this stuff. But Cardano, not a Ponzi, right? I'm not recommending you run out and spend money on these things, but I'm not recommending that you ignore them either. I think you should definitely learn about them if you don't know. And if you don't know, you can watch more videos on my channel all about it, and you can see for yourself, and you can jump into the Alpha Trading Discord that we created many years ago, which talks about it all day. We talk about crypto all day. We talk about trading all day. It's a trading website. It's a trading community. So that's alphatradinghq.com/Discord. You can join for free. Join the Discord, join the conversation for free. Even if you don't want to trade, even if you just want to ask questions about crypto, come on in. It's a friendly place. We'll talk to you about crypto. We'll help you learn about it. We'll show you what to read, what to learn. Authoritative sources, books that are really good to read. And you should be reading. You should have already read the Bitcoin Standard if you haven't already. If not, go ahead and do that. There's many other books to read, many other videos you can watch to learn. And the point is to get yourself on a track where you're not dependent on dollars or euros or yens or whatever. Anyway, guys, that's going to do it for now. I got to get going. So I'll talk to you later. Have a wonderful day. And if you have any questions about age discrimination in marketing, leave a comment. If you have any experience about it and any solutions to what you did to get out of it, to get beyond it, leave a comment. Let people know, because people definitely want to know this stuff, especially once they're 50 or older and they've been working in marketing for a long time. It's super important. And I'm doing something about it. I'm making an effort, more than just this video, to help people over 50 land jobs in tech marketing with good companies, for serious jobs. And yeah, that's going to do it for now, folks. So take care. Peace.